My name is Tamara Foster and I'm a kindergarten teacher. From the assessment data that I have recently collected on my students, I have learned that a number of my students have difficulty expressing themselves effectively. For some, finding the specific words to describe what they are doing is a challenge, while for others, difficulties with pronunciation can get in the way of them being able to clearly communicate their thoughts and ideas. I'm conscious of trying to find context for them to practice their oral communication skills that will be relatively stress-free and will enable me to personalize the language instructions for each child. A number of these same ideas were presented in a chapter from Clay's 1998 book, Different Paths to Common Outcomes, that we studied in the Kindergarten Network. In this chapter of her book, Dr. Clay describes how teachers can plan for more opportunities for talk in the classrooms, like using Think, Pair, Shared or repeated interactive read out louds. But she also described how teachers can improve the quality of teaching interactions that occur in these planned talk experiences. She explains that teachers should begin by anchoring their interactions with students in something the learner knows or something he or she can act upon. And when I read this, I immediately thought about the learning my students do at centers, learning opportunities I'm not sure I am able to maximize. Dr. Clay goes on to outline a number of strategies that teachers can use to improve the quality of teaching interactions. These include increased wait time, noticing and naming the learning students are engaged in, extending and expanding the children's thinking, and asking questions like, how did you know? And by helping the children to make connections or to see the relationships between what they already know and the new learning that they are doing through inquiry-based play at the various classroom centers. After reading this, I wanted to learn to use these strategies more effectively, but I knew that I would need some assistance in this area. In order to help me learn to facilitate more discussions with my students, I asked Diane Rail to come into my classroom to act as my coach. Diane has been working with us in the Kindergarten Network, and I value her knowledge and expertise in this area. What I really wanted was an opportunity to watch Diane using these strategies with some of my students and then try them out myself with some coaching and some constructive feedback. Since we had just read the text, 911 Quack by Vaiz, I thought it would be a good idea to make a connection to the text and to promote some story retelling at the water table by placing 8 rubber ducks on a piece of wood to act like the ramp that helped to rescue the ducklings in the story. By placing these carefully chosen materials at the center, I thought that I might be able to spark some creative thinking and some conversation in some children while providing opportunities to help Pacific students expand their vocabulary and improve their pronunciation skills. Let's go into the classroom to see how this coaching session unfolds.
Quack, quack, quack. This is what ducks do. They come in the water and then they come back up.
One of the things that I feel is really important in terms of planning how we interact with children at the water table is to just stand back and notice and watch a little bit before I actually say anything.
Okay.
So you heard Jaden talking about the sounds that ducks make.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting point of observation.
Yes, okay.
Whoa! Sorry. You got thousands of them. I'll hold them. That one was mine.
Jaden, I was
You
noticing.
took mine.
Jaden, I was noticing that when you put the duck up there, something happened.
What?
Did you notice that when the duck started here at the top? What do you
They
think?
slide down?
Oh, it went sliding down. Did you see that, Trafton? When you put the duck up there,
It's stuck now.
it's stuck. Oh.
There it is.
What do you think's making it move on down here on the ramp?
Because it's slippery. Look!
Oh, it's slippery.
Slippery.
That's an interesting. It's not slippery there.
What is playing on? Look, it's stuck. What is playing on?
So
I can try that.
if it gets stuck there, I wonder what's making it move down here.
Slip. I'm using the washroom and then I'm gonna come back.
Trafton, did you notice
There's a light.
that it moves down the ramp?
Where's the light?
What else did you see?
But
happened to the ducks when you put them there?
There's slide and woo!
So if you put it on the wood, it slides down, and sometimes we call this a ramp, and then it splashes into the last time I was here, the ramp was in the water, and I noticed you moved it into a different position now.
I just got another idea to put this right here.
You got this idea to put
Jaden, don't do it. I
You got
don't
the
like when you do that.
Trefton, I like the way you used your words to tell him that. I just want to hear about Trefton's idea here. So you had the idea to put the wood.
Like the swimming pool. Look.
Oh, it's just
I'm going under.
the swimming pool's like the water
I
here.
just had this idea. I had this idea. It's the same as that one. I think, and then I straight and stop it. Give me back.
We're going to stop and we're going to hear Trefton's idea.
I just thought of this idea, and I think.
You put the wood.
This.
Just a minute, Fiona.
And then I take this thing up and then I put it right here.
So you took the wood and you put it on the edge of the water table.
Because this is the bridge.
This is the bridge.
I can slip.
So you've turned this into a bridge instead of a ramp. And what do you notice about the way the ducks are moving now?
Hey! Because they're moving like he's a guy.
So you were documenting some of your observations, which is a really important practice to do. What were some of the things that you observed?
I observed that the first thing we did was allow them to experiment with the materials at the water table before you intervene. And when you did intervene, you made reference to what they were doing prior to what you noticed during your observations. I also noticed how you expand on their vocabulary. You gave them time to basically expand their thinking and you add on to that as well.
So we both noticed how they were using some new vocabulary.
Yes.
And some of it was connected to the book.
The book that we read, yes.
I heard slippery. Were there other things that you...
I heard quack quack. This is what a duck says by Jaden. He was saying quack quack. That's how duck talk. So we actually saw that vocabulary as well.
He made the connections
You made a
back
connection
to the
with
story.
the story, exactly. And to his prior knowledge as well. You were more of a facilitator than an educator, more or less, that you allowed them to experiment and you went in and they were guided by your actions and your vocabulary as well. I also noticed that. Also, in terms of redirecting them, you didn't make them stop, you just redirected them specifically, or you just did it in a way in which you weren't. You're more or less using positive reinforcement, I find, and redirecting what they were doing or what they were saying.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because my focus and the focus that we planned for the materials at the water table was for the children to think about an inquiry around how the ducks would move on the ramp and make connections back to the story. And you could see that they were beginning to do that.
I love the way that they moved the ramp into a bridge because they realized that the ramp they were still going into the water and the bridge they were able to move across from it more. I also find that extremely interesting, and how you allowed Trefton to expand on his thinking and to think deeper into his thoughts and the reason why he did it. I thought that was really important as well.
And that was really helpful for me to know, based on the observations and your knowledge of Trefton. And you shared with me that he needs some support around the language piece. So you could see, he said, it goes down here, and he ran his finger down, and he said, and then it goes in there. And that's contextualized language, which is pretty typical for young children. And that's where our role is so critical. You could see that I said, oh, you moved it, it went down the ramp, and then it went in the... And I gave him a little opening there, and then I filled in the word. So we always want to make sure that we're scaffolding that learning without doing too much of the thinking and the language work for the children. And with Fiona, I was unsure about where I should go with that, but I remember we talked about the fact that we need to support her in making connections.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I thought, well, she's making a connection over to the pool, and I might have said to her, "Oh, what are you thinking about that?"
Yeah.
And I wish, in reflection, I would have said that rather than, "Oh, you made a connection."
But in that short segment, so much learning was done. and they've actually improved their vocabulary a lot. So now I would love to do it later on and see if he's able to use the ramp instead of saying this with Trafton, to see if he actually has internalized the language that was taught during this time. So.
And you've done some really important work with Trafton because he said, I've got an idea.
Yes.
And I loved that.
Yeah.